US President Donald Trump has paused his tariff announcement for most countries for 90 days except China. Of course, this has helped Asian markets recover. China, though, has responded to the tariff hike, saying it does not want a trade war but will not fear if the United States continues its tariff threats. Let's listen in.
The United States is still imposing tariffs on China, and China is firmly opposed to such bullying. China will absolutely not accept pressure, threats and blackmail. That is not the right way to deal with China. If the United States ignores the interests of the two countries and the international community and insists on fighting a tariff war and a trade war, China will certainly accompany it to the end.
Now remember, a baseline tariff of 10% that came into effect globally on April 5th remains unchanged. What this means for India, which has been in ongoing trade talks with the United States since the start of the Trump administration, gets a temporary reprieve. The 26% reciprocal tariff that was expected to hit Indian goods is now on hold for 90 days, giving negotiators more room to work out a potential deal. But the 10% baseline tariff stays in place for all nations, including India. Meanwhile, Asian markets opened sharply higher on Thursday following Trump's announcement. The decision comes after several days of severe market turmoil that had wiped trillions off the United States stock valuation. Here's a detailed report.
Asian stocks roared higher in early trade Thursday after US President Donald Trump paused most of his new tariffs for 90 days. The move came after days of market turmoil that wiped trillions of dollars off the value of US stocks.
Well, I thought that people were jumping a little bit out of line. They were getting yippy, they were getting a little bit yippy, a little bit afraid.
Japan's Nikkei index jumped over 8% early on, following huge gains for Wall Street. Exporters were among the big gainers at the open, with Toyota up close to 10% and chip gear maker Advantest surging by 15%. South Korea's Kospi index jumped 5%. But there were more modest gains for stocks in China, where Trump has not paused tariffs. Instead, he turned up the heat again, saying he would raise tariffs on the country to 125%. That could set the stage for further action by Beijing, which has vowed to resist what it calls American blackmail. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index gained over 2% in early trade as investors took stock. Now, Trump's stunning reversal could allow time for talks with trading partners. Despite all the turmoil for equities, it may have been the bond market that spurred the change of heart. Investors had grown alarmed by a slide in US government bonds, which normally gain in times of crisis. Some traders said the moves were a sign of major trouble brewing. Trump himself alluded to the worries.
The bond market is very tricky. I was watching it, but if you look at it now, it's beautiful. The bond market right now is beautiful. But yeah, I saw last night where people were getting a little queasy.
US benchmark bonds stabilized following the move on tariffs. Meanwhile, oil prices initially rose, but they fell again on Thursday, with markets fearful over what the US-China trade war means for global growth. Investors also remain concerned over the wild unpredictability of Washington policymaking and the fact that a blanket import tariff of 10% largely remains in place. International benchmark Brent crude was down over 1% in early morning trade.